We are United Faith Mortgage.
We pay your appraisal fees up to $500. That's out-of-pocket money.
United Mortgage Corp, Melville, New York. NMLS number 1330. Ryan Vrecka, NMLS number 65233. For all licensing information, go to nmlsconsumeraccess.org.
Tired after a long day of working and taking care of the kids? Take the night off and let KFC do the home cooking for you. Pick up a $20 fill-up today. Order ahead or use contactless delivery on KFC.com.
7:38 AM 560 traffic center time, and Jim.
Inbound Ryan, traffic is heavy from around the Chinatown feeder into the Burns Circle. Your travel time right now is 19 minutes from 95th Street to downtown Chicago. The express lanes get congested around 35th Street. Outbound 14 minutes downtown to 95th. I-57, 16 minutes, I-80 to the Burridge. Bishop Ford back down to 13. There was an earlier crash at 130th. Inbound Kennedy, traffic slows going into the Circle. It's 22 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. Outbound 20. Inbound Eisenhower, 31 minutes, 390 to downtown. Outbound 28. To Stevenson, 30 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. The ramp to the inbound Ryan is heavy. The northbound Tri-State ramp to the outbound Ike is heavy. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte. On AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. In our AM 560 Weather Center, cloudy. Mix of rain or snow beginning this afternoon, high near 40. Considerable clouds with a bit of snow, little or no accumulation, low 33 overnight. Cloudy, couple of snow showers. Storm totals could hit 2 inches tomorrow, high 37. Tomorrow night, 29, cloudy and 36 with a bit of snow. On Saturday, and more snow on Sunday, up to an inch, high 31. 32 at O'Hare, 35 Lakefront. Your next news at 8. Breaking news as it happens. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
From the Matrix Home Solutions studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, Trump supporters were maligned as credulous boomer rubes by the Lincoln Project, that goof Rick Wilson. But in terms of the boomers, it's not the credulous rubes, quote unquote, as so described, that turned out to be the problem with that generation. It's those that achieved significant political and cultural power, it would seem to me. And this is the one of the themes from Helen Andrews' new book, Boomers, the Men and Women Who Promise Freedom, or is it Freedom, and Delivered Disaster. Helen Andrews, senior editor of the American Conservative. The book released January 12th, so pick it up. Thanks for joining us, Helen. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me on.
So, you don't want to malign everybody in America between the age of, 56 and 74. Amy's here listening.
Yeah,
so
easy.
Yeah, she's,
Not there yet,
very
Dan.
sensitive about the topic.
Have we got a boomer in the
No, she's not.
No.
She's not a boomer. No. And thankfully, our parents are really silent generation, so we're not maligning our parents either. But so the particular the slice of the boomer generation that turned out to deliver disaster.
That's right. It's not the people who were on Capitol Hill last week. In the structure of the book, I look at individuals, people who I thought represented the boomer generation, people like Steve Jobs or Aaron Sorkin, the creator of The West Wing, Sonia Sotomayor, Al Sharpton, economist Jeffrey Sachs, and pundit Camille Paglia. I thought each of those 6 people really captured something about the boomer generation.
Well, let's start with, you would think, that's Steve Jobs. No, I want to start with Camille Paglia because I have sort of a complicated view of her because she's a complicated person. There's a lot of her scholarship that I really enjoy and her moxie that I really enjoy. But obviously there are some views that she holds that I think have been particularly destructive. So give us your Camille Paglia assessment and why she's sort of an important representative of the problem.
Oh, I'm with you. I love her, despite my criticisms of her. I can still remember being in college and reading her big book, Sexual Personae, and it was just electrifying. She's clearly a brilliant human being. But what I fault her for is her obsession with pop culture more than anybody else. Camille Paglia represented the view that pop culture is just as worthy, just as interesting and important as high culture. You know, if you're going to get a PhD in English literature, you might as well study Madonna as Milton. And the problem is that that's all very well if you're Camille Paglia and you know both. You know, she's read, every book on the planet. She's very, very educated. But the next generation that was raised thinking that pop culture was just as good as high culture now doesn't even know Milton or Shakespeare. So you get young academics who have their PhD in Sopranos studies who just aren't as bright and well-read as Camille Paglia. But it's her fault that they ended up that way because she was the one who elevated pop culture.
And what about Jeffrey Sachs?
Well, God, is there anything more boomerish than going around to foreign countries and telling them how to run their governments? And he's such a do-gooder about it. He's really got the boomer savior mentality. He told America that we could not just reduce global poverty, but eradicate it. He wanted to eliminate poverty in Africa. And one of the themes of the book is that the boomers had a lot of hubris, a lot of arrogance, an overdeveloped sense of themselves as godlike creatures who could remake the world to their liking. And poor Jeffrey Sachs has definitely had a tragic arc, realizing that no, you are never going to eradicate poverty, certainly not in Africa.
Wow, that's a lot of competition for the example of the individual with the messianic complex. I mean, as you're describing him, I'm thinking Bill and Melinda Gates.
It's the same mentality, absolutely. And I don't know if being rich is what makes people think that way. But there's a reason why I went to Silicon Valley for another of my classic boomers. I looked not at Bill Gates, but at Steve Jobs. But certainly Silicon Valley is boomer created and boomer run for sure.
Well, so develop Steve Jobs as again as something that provides more nuance to that to how that generation delivered destruction.
Well, a lot of people think that Steve Jobs' hippie persona was just an act. I mean, we all remember the turtleneck and the John Lennon glasses and the think different mantra. And a lot of people thought that was just a bunch of smoke and mirrors to cover the fact that he was a real corporate shark. I disagree with that. I think that Steve Jobs really invested his business with the hippie ethos that he believed in. He wanted computers to liberate human creativity. And I admire him for his success in imposing his vision of technology on the rest of America. I mean, technology looks the way it does today because of things that Steve Jobs believed. The irony and the tragedy is that Steve Jobs' hippie mission of popularizing computers in order to liberate human creativity actually ended up yielding the economy that millennials complain about, where we're stuck in Uberized jobs in the gig economy, and also led to a proliferation of addictive screens. Millennials don't feel liberated by the screens in their lives. We feel almost enslaved by them because we're addicted to video games and pornography and any number of other things on screens. So by putting a computer in everybody's pocket, the way that he always wanted to do from the beginning of his career, Steve Jobs actually, promised freedom and delivered disaster.
And is there a certain, all these personalities, these archetypes that you use, certain sort of larger takeaways of how individuals like the ones you profile really change the arc of the culture away from certain mores and to other mores?
The unifying theme is that the boomers were institution destroyers. They hated anything that provided continuity with the past, because in the boomer book, anything that's an institution constrains individual choice. And I think we're going to have to rediscover how to feel a sense of continuity with the past, and a sense that we are not free to just remake the world according to our own whim, that we inherit the world from our ancestors, and we have a duty to pass it on to our children better than we found it, and that unlimited individual choice is not the highest value. So that's what the millennials have to do now.
Yeah, so the intergenerational compact was broken by the boomers, at least these cultural mavens that represent a certain segment of the boomer generation. That's a key takeaway. The other thing that you just mentioned too, which seems so appropriate at this time, is that maximizing personal autonomy is the same thing as liberty. And it turns out it's not. This is sort of the game that Chinese communists play. If we provide you material comfort, then you don't need to live as a free person. And it's a trade-off that they're imposing, and we're sort of choosing.
That's right. And millennials or boomers always tell millennials, you should be happy. We didn't have iPhones when we were your age. But millennials want to retort, well, yeah, but you didn't graduate with 6 figures of college debt. You could support a middle-class family on one income rather than both parents having to go into the workforce. So the boomers really believe that in a society full of amusements, young people should be grateful. But millennials are learning that it takes more than amusement and consumerism to have a fulfilling life.
What's funny, too, about the 60s, because you think boomer and you think 60s, there's a good piece on by John Waters, who's an Irish writer, about how the king is dead. He's talking about sort of the death of rock and roll, that those rebellious rockers of the 60s have been replaced by the likes of Cardi B and Justin Bieber, which is sort of another indication of the degradation of culture. But he reminds us that Bob Dylan, for example, was not the institutional destroyer that so many institutional destroyers hold him up to be. He in his 2004 published Chronicles Volume 1, he nominated the 64 Republican U.S. presidential candidate Barry Goldwater as his favorite politician and debunked his own reputation as a symbol of resistance. I had a wife and children who I loved more than anything else in the world. I was trying to provide for them, keep them out of trouble. He talks about, sort of very stodgy values, if you will, in terms of sort of how he's perceived and mythologized by those institution destroyers you describe.
Oh, I love John Waters, and I'm so glad you brought him up, because he's a boomer, but he's one of the good ones. His book, Jiving at the Crossroads, is just brilliant. I love it to bits. And he's definitely someone who's followed an arc. He was a young rock and roll journalist, very much living the boomer lifestyle. But as he got older, he learned that some of the excesses of the 60s were maybe leading society down a bad road. And that's what I hope to do with this book, is to help, not to attack boomers, but to help more of them have that same revelation that all of the fun and liberation they had when they were young is now having some serious costs that they're going to have to pay, and that more importantly, their kids are having to pay.
Helen Andrews, senior editor of the American Conservative, author of the book, Boomers, the Men and Women Who Promise Freedom and Deliver Disaster. Helen, thanks for joining us. Good luck with the book.
Thanks so much.
and she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
It's flu season and COVID cases are rising. You need to make sure that your business, office, church, or school is safe. There's no better way than with electrostatic disinfection from Custodius. It's safe, it's affordable, and most importantly, it works. Custodius, Chicagoland's choice for electrostatic disinfection, operates 24/7 to help you stay safe, which means you call us and we come out same day. Contact Custodius to get your facility COVID clear right now. Go to COVID19disinfections.com, COVID19disinfections.com. Get the phone number and make the call. It is virtually impossible to achieve full coverage with your traditional methods like spray and wipe. That's why we disinfect with the same state-of-the-art technology that's used in healthcare settings and public infection control. We cover more surface and kill more germs, keeping you, your customers, and your employees safe. Let Custodius give you peace of mind. Be proactive, give us a call, find our number at COVID19disinfections.com, COVID19disinfections.com.
Hi, it's Amy Jacobson. And as you know, our friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of their life. And he didn't stop by simply creating the best pillow. Mike created the new Giza Dream bed sheets. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep. Mike's found the world's best cotton called Giza. It's ultra soft.